Modern success courses keep telling you that if you want to rise, you need to advertise yourself. Flash the car, display the watch, post every expensive project online so strangers can validate your worth. But look closer. Most of that is performance designed for people addicted to attention. The harsh reality is this: you are not struggling because you lack talent. You remain stuck because you reveal too much. You expose your goals, your progress, your ambition, and then wonder why people begin pulling at your energy, borrowing from your momentum, and slowing you down while disguising it as friendship. Machiavelli never preached fake kindness. He revealed a colder truth. Everyone protects their own interests, and the moment people notice you climbing higher, support quickly transforms into expectation and entitlement. You make yourself vulnerable to the crowd while imagining you're becoming the center of attention. Real wealth does not survive on applause. It survives on protection, discipline, and complete control away from public eyes. Like a quarterback hiding the football behind his hip while defenders chase the fake movement, your real advantage must remain unseen. If you're sick of being plucked the second you start to come up, stop being prey. I'll take you through the 8 iron rules of invisibility to build an iron mind like a true sovereign. If you have the patience to watch this entire video, you will absolutely learn how to let your money multiply without turning yourself into anyone's target. It's time to stop asking the world for permission to be rich. In the real world, power is not a moral issue. It is structure and position. Niccolo Machiavelli, the master of pragmatism, never taught us to become evil. He only taught us how not to be fools. He understood that human beings by nature are greedy and envious. That's why safety doesn't come from being loved. It comes from being untouchable. In this society, it's not the hardest worker who becomes the richest, but the one who knows how to hold on to what he has built the best. The biggest mistake men make is believing that honesty and showing off will bring respect. Reality is the opposite. The more you show yourself, the more openings you create for enemies to attack. If you want lasting wealth, become invisible. According to Niccolo Machiavelli, the less you are seen, the less you are targeted. The one who can control access to himself is the one who can keep his money, protect his time, and control the game. It's time to stop being obvious prey for the world to tear apart. If you have the backbone to give up shallow applause and choose the path of a powerful unknown, then the following 8 rules are the map for you to build untouchable wealth. 1. The more you show you're rising, the more you get marked as a target. A lot of people out there lose their empires not because they lack talent, but because their mouths can't keep things sealed. They rush to hand the entire map to a pack of wolves, then act shocked when they get carved up right at the destination. That is the most humiliating kind of failure. Failure caused by self-satisfaction. Look back at your personal page. A little revenue, a new project, or a watch to prove you're coming up. You think you're asserting status? Wrong. You're pinning a shooting target onto your own chest. Wealth creates pull, but it doesn't attract real brothers. It drags in 3 kinds of vultures: beggars hiding behind the name of family, watchers waiting for you to slip, and connectors who are really parasites trying to drain your profits dry. The biggest risk always comes from the person closest to you, the one who knows exactly what you have to crave. In dark psychology, envy is a silent kind of acid. When you put on a display, you're slapping the faces of people who are stuck in place. Don't be naive enough to believe the congratulations. The crowd doesn't want you to live well. They only want you to live just enough so they don't have to feel inferior. When you cross the line, they won't attack head-on. They choose to slow your steps with toxic advice or quiet sabotage from the inside. Look at how the House of Medici rose in Florence in the 15th century. With enough money to buy an entire city, Cosimo de' Medici chose to walk the streets like a common man and dress simply. He understood that invisibility gave him the freedom to quietly control the financial bloodstream of Europe, while nobody dared step in his way. He chose to become a ghost that controls, instead of a moth destroying itself in artificial glory. And the lesson for you is simple, but it requires ruthlessness against your own ego. You must destroy the addiction to praise. Do not become another social media performer flashing money for temporary attention. Become someone like Gus Fring, the man standing behind an ordinary fried chicken counter while secretly controlling an empire beneath the surface. The person standing in the spotlight gets watched. The person operating in the shadows holds the real power. Niccolo Machiavelli left behind a brutal lesson. If you want to protect what you have built, stop inviting people into your game. Never reveal everything you possess, because curiosity often becomes the knife pointed at your throat. So here is the challenge. If you truly have the discipline to separate yourself from the crowd, disappear from society's radar completely for the next 30 days. Don't show achievements. Don't explain when you're looked down on. Let your silence make your enemies uneasy. The awakening begins the moment you dare to give up attention in exchange for real power. Leave a comment. I choose invisibility as a blood covenant with yourself. Don't talk much. Act. 2. Poor people love signals. Rich people love unknowns. Imagine 2 boxes placed in the middle of a public square. One is made of clear glass filled with shimmering gold coins. Everyone who walks by can see it and is just waiting to smash it to take it. The other box is made of black iron, rough, ugly, locked tight. Nobody knows whether there's treasure inside or just worthless rocks. A thief will always target the glass box first. This isn't just a metaphor about safety. It's the ruthless truth about how you're running your life. You're choosing to be the glass box, exposing everything just to trade it for the crowd's craving. Look at yourself. What are you trying to prove when you keep talking non-stop about your plans, your vision, or the big-name relationships you just built? You talk about the future like it's already in your pocket. But the reality is, the more you talk, the more people can see straight through what you lack. In practical, combat-level psychology, every word you speak is one more time you hand the key to your mind to the other side. They learn what you need. They understand how badly you crave validation, and they will use that exact weakness to control you like a puppet. Understand this. A man with real power never rushes to explain. The act of justifying yourself or laying out your plan is, in truth, an act of begging for recognition. And the moment you ask for approval, you place yourself under someone else's eyes and judgment. Machiavelli made it clear in The Prince: a wise man never lets anyone hold his map. In American office or business environments, look at the people who never stop talking about strategy and passion. They're often the first to get laid off when things shift. Meanwhile, the quiet ones, grinding away like unknowns, are the ones holding the company's fate. They don't need you to understand them. They only need you to be unable to predict them. So from now on, talk less about intentions and let action crush every doubt on its own. Don't be the guy with little money but loud logos, draping yourself in designer labels just to send out fake signals of wealth. Become a dark, powerful unknown. When your opponent doesn't know where you stand on the board, they can't attack. When you don't explain, you take back total control of your emotions. Let the final result be the only thing that speaks. And when it speaks, it must be an echo loud enough to make the people who once looked down on you fall silent in shock. In every conversation, stop yourself right before you're about to brag or explain a plan. Swallow those words. Let other people's curiosity torment them while you quietly build your empire behind closed doors. Do you choose to be the fragile glass box or the untouchable block of black iron? Prove your backbone by commenting, "I am an unknown." Don't let the world price you by the cheap things they can see. Make them afraid of the power they can never touch. Act or keep being prey. 3. When you become easy to reach, you're opening the gate to leakage. We're often taught that kindness is the key to success, that becoming someone who is always polite and ready to help anytime, anywhere, is a noble moral standard. But look again at the price you're paying. You reply to messages immediately. You show up for every call. You're always the first one to nod yes when someone needs help. And what's the result? Your schedule is packed tight. Your phone keeps buzzing. You're so busy you can barely breathe. Yet your bank account is still standing in the same place. You're mistaking business for productivity, but in reality, you're just a free commodity in other people's eyes. The brutal reality is this: the more accessible you become, the wider you open the gates to loss. Wealth and influence are built through extreme concentration. Yet you keep scattering your time trying to satisfy people who add nothing meaningful to your life. In behavioral psychology, there is a concept known as the scarcity principle. People naturally place higher value on what is difficult to access. When you are constantly available, your value in the eyes of others quietly collapses. They do not respect your time because you do not protect it yourself. This is not kindness. It is weakness disguised as devotion, hoping approval will fill an emptiness that respect never could. In the philosophy of Niccolo Machiavelli, excessive accommodation becomes the burial ground of power. He did not teach people to become cruel. He taught them how to control access. You must build strong walls around your personal empire. Organize your world carefully. Who deserves direct access to you? Who should only reach you through distance? And who deserves nothing except silence? Don't let kindness turn you into a public rest stop where any passerby can walk in and dump trash. Learn to say no without explaining, because every explanation is a sign of poor self-defense. Look at how Louis XIV, the Sun King, ran his power. He wasn't a friendly king or easy to meet. Louis XIV turned being seen by the king into the highest privilege, something nobles had to scheme for, line up for, and endure harsh rituals to earn. That inaccessibility created an aura of absolute power, making every word he spoke an order no one could refuse. He understood that a king who is present in every corner is no different from a common man. Now ask yourself, do you want to be a nice guy who's always busy with other people's errands? Or do you want to become the one who holds ultimate power in your own life? Stop being a free resource for the world. I have a challenge for you. Starting today, reset your boundaries. Turn off notifications, keep your phone on silent for at least 4 hours of deep focus, and respond only to what truly creates value. You're not failing when you're silent. You're getting stronger. Comment, "My time is priceless," to commit to taking back control of your life. Don't be an easy pawn. Be the player with backbone. 4. Envy doesn't attack you head-on. It makes you slow yourself down. Once you understand that showing off is strategic suicide, and that being too accommodating is a hole that leaks power, you'll realize an even more brutal truth. The biggest enemy of wealth isn't a lack of talent. It's the crowd's envy around you. A lot of ambitious men have collapsed not because of financial failure, but because they gave other people's jealousy permission to control their pace. Be honest with yourself. Lately, have you started feeling awkward about going too hard at work? You're afraid of being labeled money-hungry, afraid of being mocked by friends, and afraid of becoming the topic of gossip at drinking sessions. You start censoring yourself, dialing down your ambition just to live peacefully. But wake up. That peace is really long-term poverty and cowardice disguised as humility. You're trying to dissolve into the flock so they won't hate you, while your nature is a wolf. In nature, the phenomenon of mobbing is a sharp proof of the crowd's pettiness. When a powerful hawk flies into the territory, the weaker seagulls or crows never dare to face it head-on because they know they'll be torn apart. Instead, the whole flock of smaller birds circles it, screaming loudly and repeatedly darting in to peck lightly at the hawk's wings. Those pecks don't kill instantly, but the harassment drains the hawk's energy, breaks its focus, and eventually forces it to drop lower or fly somewhere else. You are that hawk. And if you pay attention to the crowd screaming, you're lowering the altitude of your own life. The crowd never wants you to win too big because your success is a mirror reflecting their own stagnation and failure. In social psychology, this is called tall poppy syndrome. Whoever grows too tall makes others want to cut him down to size. Niccolo Machiavelli taught that your ambition should never be negotiated through another person's envy. If you keep choosing the path of pleasing everyone, you slowly become a background character inside your own story. Instead, follow the colder strategy. Pull your plans back into the shadows, work obsessively in silence, and reveal results only when they have become too undeniable to ignore or sabotage. Do not become a shattered version of Jerry Smith, a man desperate for approval from people who secretly look down on him. Become the person who exists beyond their judgment entirely. The only real solution is to eliminate the need for outside commentary. Let your silence become the punishment for those waiting to watch you fail. Here is the covenant. Starting now, stop discussing your goals with people who have not earned access to them. Let them assume you gave up. Let them believe you disappeared. While they laugh, continue building quietly. So when you finally return, you are no longer someone they compete with, but someone they are forced to look up at. Comment, I don't negotiate my ambition to prove you've awakened. This world has no place for hawks that fear altitude. Act now, or you will disappear forever into mediocrity. 5. When you're loved for being generous, you're being loved for being exploitable. Start with a blood-earned lesson from truly Machiavellian lords. They understood that if you hand out money and favors recklessly, the people will soon treat it as something they're entitled to. When the treasury runs dry and you have nothing left to give, the very ones who once praised you will be the first to carry torches and burn your palace to the ground. That's why the one in power gives in small doses with calculation. They don't cultivate gratitude, they cultivate dependence. Look back at your life, you kind man. You're always the one paying for the drinking nights, always ready to treat your friends, always the one who carries the team and gives free advice to anyone who comes to you. You think you're building a connection. Wrong. You're turning yourself into a walking ATM. The harsh truth is, when you stop handing things out, their feelings will change faster than a player switches girlfriends. When you hit hard times and need help, look at your phone contacts. They will go silent in a ruthless way. They don't love you for who you are. They love the feeling of being able to exploit you. In social psychology, this is called entitlement. When you're openly too generous, you accidentally teach the people around you that they have the right to enjoy the results of your labor without effort. Your obvious wealth triggers the parasite instinct in them. Machiavelli taught that loyalty is an extremely rare luxury, while benefit seekers are as numerous as ants swarming a piece of sweet cake dropped on a New York sidewalk. If you keep following the worn path of a traditional nice person, you'll end your life exhausted and bitter, like a forgotten supporting character. Don't turn yourself into the real-life version of Ned Flanders. Someone so kind, he becomes weak, always smiling, only to be used by the whole neighborhood. Choose Machiavelli's way. Become invisible and give strategically. Your money and your help must have conditions, limits, and must serve a specific purpose of power. Learn to say no with absolute firmness. The harder your help becomes to access, the more valuable it appears. Strong men do not purchase approval, they establish respect. Begin a personal purge today. Stop justifying the people you continue funding emotionally, financially, or mentally when they bring no meaningful value into your life. Stay quiet for a while and observe carefully who remains once your generosity is no longer visible to them. It is one of the painful lessons of maturity, but it is necessary if you want to separate loyal people from parasites. Do not allow kindness to transform you into a public resource that everyone consumes without consequence. Declare ownership over your time, your loyalty, and your energy by commenting, "My loyalty has value." Act now, or continue living as easy prey for people waiting to exploit you. Number 6. Public busyness is performance. Real wealth is built behind closed doors. Have you noticed something strange about the busiest people you know? The ones constantly posting networking events, uploading crowded schedules to social media, and complaining that they never have time to rest, are often the same people with the weakest financial reality. It sounds backwards, but the truth is simple. The people shouting the loudest about effort are often trying to hide the emptiness of their actual results. They love the feeling of being the center, being someone with influence. But the harsh truth is, they only possess a flashy image without a single real asset. They're performing a play about success for an audience of one, their own starving ego. Public busyness is, in fact, a kind of psychological drug. Research on the Hawthorne effect proves that people tend to change their behavior and try harder when they know they're being watched. But in the world of getting rich, this is a deadly trap. You work to look successful instead of actually creating surplus value. You're running on a treadmill, sweating a lot, breathing hard, but your financial position doesn't move even 1 millimeter. In Machiavellian philosophy, showy busyness is the sign of a weak person trying to defend himself with appearances. A truly strong person doesn't need the world to recognize effort. He needs results that crush all doubt. The solution to escape this mediocre loop is a ruthless revolution. Shift all your resources from surface activity to an underground system. While the fools out there are busy handing out business cards at useless seminars, you must retreat into a closed room to build processes, products, and cash flow. Things that can run on their own even while you're silent. Don't be the blacksmith screaming about the heat of the furnace. Be the owner of an automated production line. In the US, real millionaires are often people you never see in the media. They hide behind complex financial structures, while self-proclaimed entrepreneurs stay busy performing speeches on TikTok. Real wealth is like an iceberg in the middle of the ocean. The part above the water is tiny, white, and grabs everyone's attention. But it's just a worthless, decorative shell. The massive part below, dark, dense, and silent in the deep, holds the real power, with enough mass to sink even a mighty Titanic. You have to choose. Be the melting snow on top, or be the 1,000-ton block of ice in the deep. Machiavelli taught that power isn't in presence, it's in the effectiveness of action. It's time to kill off the fake, busy version of you, so you can be reborn in the closed room. Over the next 2 weeks, try to cancel every event that doesn't directly create cash flow. Disappear. Let others be shocked by your absence while you quietly build an empire that doesn't need their applause. Declare your resolve by commenting, "I choose to be the submerged part." Don't talk about effort. Make the word kneel before your results. 7. Don't let other people price you by what they can see. American business history once recorded a giant named John D. Rockefeller, a man who in his youth always appeared extremely frugal in his spending, even austere, despite already holding enormous amounts in his accounts. During intense negotiations, opponents looked at his worn suit and modest lifestyle, assumed he was financially weak, and confidently tried to pressure him into lowering the price. But that arrogance became their final mistake. John D. Rockefeller quietly consumed those men with levels of capital they could never have imagined. He never relied on clothing to display power. He relied on silence to conceal his claws. Now look at your own behavior. You are doing the exact opposite, aren't you? You polish every detail of your image, searching for shallow approval. You wear expensive brands beyond your financial reality. You carefully shape every post and every sentence online. You construct an identity designed to shine publicly like a star, because you believe that is how society grants acceptance. But here is the truth. The world may admire the image, while simultaneously looking for ways to pull you into its expectations, comparisons, tests, and judgments. The moment you broadcast status or wealth, you invite attention from people who were never part of your mission in the first place. You're turning yourself into a product priced by the crowd's eyes. In dark psychology, letting other people price you based on appearance is a suicide of power. When you live by other people's gaze, you silently hand them the remote control to operate your emotions and your wallet. If they praise you as rich, you have to try to be richer to maintain that illusion. If they suspect you're failing, you panic and show off to prove the opposite. Machiavelli made it clear, anyone who lets the opponent know his true strength has already lost half the war. You're laying every card on the table, while your opponent is still hiding aces up his sleeve. The solution to this naivete is a ruthless strategy of withdrawal, reduce signals, and increase capability. You need to learn to brag less and accumulate more. Instead of talking about what you will do, focus on what you are owning. In American finance or real estate environments, the people who truly hold thousands of apartments or million-dollar investment funds are often guys wearing a simple gray t-shirt in ordinary coffee shops. They don't need validation from a server or from nosy neighbors. They understand that real value doesn't need decoration. It needs strong protective fences. Try to imagine you're like Bruce Wayne in the early days after returning to Gotham. The world sees a partying, shallow air, while in reality, you're training your body and your mind in the dark to become an entity that cannot be defeated. The contrast between an ordinary exterior and enormous inner strength is your ultimate weapon. When you don't show off, you have the right to be underestimated. And when you're underestimated, you hold the initiative to strike at anyone's weakness without being guarded against. Starting today, stop using assets to buy respect. Sell off unnecessary luxury items just to flex on other people, and pour that money into real income-producing assets in silence. Let your neighbors think you're having financial trouble. Let old friends think you're washed up. Your pride may rise up, but that is the price you pay in exchange for real freedom. Machiavelli taught that wisdom lies in knowing how to pretend to be a fool when necessary. Your journey of transformation begins when you no longer need anyone to price you. Let your account balance be a national secret, and your actions be an unknown. Assert personal power by commenting, "I am of real value." Don't decorate the outer shell any further. Build an empire that cannot be pierced from the inside. 8. Invisibility isn't disappearing. Invisibility is not letting anyone touch the core. You crave ultimate wealth. You crave the status of someone who holds the power of life and death. Someone whose single nod is enough to shake the market. But look at yourself. You're living like a man addicted to cheap attention. You rush to show off your early wins on social media. You turn red in the face arguing with people beneath your level just to prove you're right, you're good, you matter. You fear invisibility because deep down you see it as weakness, as a loser being pushed out of the game. You confuse noise with power. And the brutal truth is this: your hunger to be recognized is turning you into the easiest target to damage. Wake up before that weakness destroys you. Truly wealthy people and those with real influence rarely move loudly. While you expose every detail of your life for the world to examine, strategic operators are shaping outcomes quietly behind the scenes. They do not waste time confronting people directly with arguments and explanations. They remove obstacles through results that were already decided long before anyone noticed. Invisibility does not mean hiding in darkness. Invisibility means controlling the timing of your appearance, controlling the flow of information, and, most importantly, controlling who gains access to your inner world. The moment someone reveals their entire hand, they lose initiative. The moment someone allows the world direct access to their core, they become vulnerable to manipulation. Look at the play-action pass in National Football League to understand practical invisibility. The instant the play begins, the quarterback makes an obvious motion, as if he is handing the ball to the running back. The entire opposing defense, those bloodthirsty giants, will pour their attention into it and violently attack the player who doesn't even have the ball. Meanwhile, the quarterback has actually hidden the ball, the core that decides victory or defeat, right behind his hip, and quietly drops back. He doesn't disappear from the field. He's still there, fully present and challenging, but the most important thing has become invisible to the opponent. Only when they realize they lunged at the air, the ball is already flying through the sky to decide the game. That isn't disappearing. It's the art of hiding your real purpose so you can land the killing blow. It's time for you to learn how to create invisibility for yourself. The only way to become rich and powerful is to establish an absolutely sealed core. Your real finances, your upcoming acquisition plan, the strategic relationships you're quietly building, and especially your fatal weaknesses. Everything must stay in the dark zone that no one, not even the closest people, can touch. Never share your plans widely, just to trade them for a few hollow cheers. Make yourself a mystery, like the Great Gatsby's J. Gatsby, but with the clarity of a Wall Street tycoon. The less you can be read, the more room you have to shift the board. Machiavelli forged a cold truth. Everyone sees what you appear to be, but few know what you really are. When no one can read you, no one can control you. True domination begins when you separate the loud outer layer that serves the world from the ruthless core that serves your own ambition. Don't argue with mediocre people. Make them chase the illusions you deliberately create. Do you have the backbone to hide the ball of your life until the finish? If you're ready to drop the show and seize invisible power, comment, "I hide the core, I control." Sign this covenant with yourself. From today, invisibility is my strongest armor. You think getting rich is a speed race, but Machiavelli saw deeper for you. Getting rich is a defensive war, and the best defender is the one who doesn't let others know what he's holding, where he's going, and how big he's about to become. It is time to reverse every old rule you have been living by. You can continue existing like a public bulletin board, constantly updating the world in exchange for temporary approval, or you can become a fortress. Fewer entrances, less exposure, less noise, but far more room for your wealth and power to grow without being torn apart. The real difference between people performing success and people quietly building it lies in one thing: control over their own presence. Think carefully about the moments you lost money, lost leverage, or got pulled into unnecessary problems. Was it not almost always because you revealed too much too early? Leave a comment about the hardest lesson you ever learned from exposing your success before it was protected. And now, ask yourself honestly, do you truly want to become wealthy, or do you simply want to appear wealthy in front of others? The path toward hidden strength and an iron inner core is only beginning. If you have the discipline to abandon shallow validation and you want access to the most practical strategic principles inspired by Machiavelli to protect what you build, subscribe and join a community that chooses clarity over crowds. See you behind the closed doors, where real wealth is created quietly.